Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Main topic: securely accelerate your digital transformation and customer experiences through modern identity. As you know, 2020 was a very challenging year. We all experienced something incredibly difficult in our lifetime that no one ever had experienced before. Just a year ago, businesses had to rapidly adjust to working from home, as well as rapidly adjusting to servicing their customers and partners by going 100% digital overnight while making sure they're all safe and secure. Businesses had to navigate their way out of these challenges to survive and thrive in this accelerated digital first world. You might ask, how are these businesses managing to navigate these challenges and thrive at the same time? To that end, I am super thrilled to host our distinguished panelists who represent three key industry verticals that serve as the key pillars of our society: telecommunications, healthcare, and financial services. My name is Arun Srestha. I am the CEO and co founder of BeyondID. We are a managed identity service provider who assist businesses with their identity management, cybersecurity, and cloud services. We are Okta's proud platinum services partner. We have successfully assisted hundreds of companies around the world to acquire, deploy, and manage Okta, their identity cloud. In today's session, we will focus on how these companies accelerate their business transformation with the help of modern security and providing excellent digital experiences to their workforce and customers. As a part of identity modernization and digital transformation journeys, we will discuss with the panelists their common and unique challenges, their roadmaps, their strategy and implementation approach. Finally, their successes and lessons learned. Without further ado, I would like to introduce today's distinguished panelists, and I would like them to kick this off by sharing with you their challenges and opportunities.
Hi, I'm Ben Doyle from ATN International. ATN is a global holding company that invests and operates telecommunications companies in the US and in the Caribbean. And we embarked on our identity journey primarily to drive digital transformation during the COVID pandemic and to improve our security posture. Some of our challenges and opportunities, and I think these probably won't be a surprise to most of the audience because I think many companies are faced with similar challenges and opportunities. One is the ongoing shift to the cloud, and I laugh to myself sometimes that we still talk about this because I can think back to over a decade ago when we were aggressively shifting applications to the cloud. But um, there are still plenty of opportunities in most companies, whether it is retiring legacy systems or deploying new capability. So that really is a never ending ongoing shift. Another big catalyst for us was our Office 365 deployment, which we started in the March timeframe, right around the start of COVID. And we really decided to accelerate that Office 365 deployment in light of COVID and our remote workforce. So that was both a big challenge and a big opportunity for our business. And what we were really, hoping to achieve out of that is taking advantage of some of the inherent lifecycle management that exists inside of an Okta as part of their IAM solution related to integrating Okta with Active Directory groups and supporting provisioning and deprovisioning activities. And for us and for me, a big part of our environment, our IT service management environment, is built around ServiceNow and our ServiceNow catalog integrations. So as employees go to our ServiceNow portal, they can go into a catalog and request access to a whole variety of different software applications. And it was really important to me to make sure that our that service catalog requests were integrated with Okta and with lifecycle management, so we can have really a fully automated and very efficient process to give our employees the best possible user experience. And lastly, we really wanted to focus on maturing our cybersecurity posture. And this initiative with Okta IAM allowed us to leverage their adaptive multi-factor authentication solution. And really, in partnering with Beyond ID, it gave us a framework and a path to really start executing on our zero trust strategy. So those were all all drivers for us as we started out on this journey. And you can see in the graphic on the right hand side of the slide, we now have over 52 applications deployed in Okta, and I think that list grows every day. So it's been very exciting for us.
Thank you, Ben, for that insightful information about your organization and the opportunity and challenges. So, next, let's hear from Dr. Samai about Inception Health and its challenges and opportunities.
So a bit about Inception Health. Inception Health is an innovation arm operated in the Medical College of Wisconsin. We are a team of clinician, engineers, and healthcare professionals and strategists working on making innovation happen in healthcare and specifically for our community and patients. We really embarked in this initiative to enable a digital transformation and really enable a better care experience and a safer care experience during the pandemic and also beyond. The interesting what happened to healthcare systems and many other healthcare and many other industries too is we really were looking at digital health and digital transformation as being in its infant journey probably over the last decades or so. Our digital transformation was really happening at a very slow pace. We were really interested about innovation and technology and how that can play a role in healthcare. But in reality, there was no really an impetus. We were trying and striving to innovate. COVID happened, and really, that we see in this graph a huge shift and transition. We moved really from focusing on improving the experience of a delivering care in the traditional way to really trying to figure out how can we deliver and make healthcare services safe to our patients, meet them wherever they are, and meet them anywhere and anytime they need. So COVID really transformed the way we think about technology, and we start thinking about it not anymore as an add-on component, but really about like as a really core feature of defining features of how we deliver our care services. And even though actually we are really starting to see a next normal and really seeing that the COVID and the vaccine immunization is scaling up and reaching the community that we might come to back to a normal. However, we all agree within the healthcare industry that the previous normal and the new normal are quite different. Even though the digital technology and the role they played were key in the COVID, their role will stay and will actually persist. And we see that actually really that reminds us that the digital transformation is something to stay and it's something what we need to really strive to optimize and improve. So we really have been focusing since we started really around making sure that it's cloud native architecture. We really focused on integrating the new digital services with our backend healthcare system, which was critically and very important. We needed to develop a new brand mobile first experience, and that means that patients can start actually their journey interacting with us as a healthcare system from the digital experience first rather than thinking it as an add-on feature when you come to visit us our office or at the clinical or our care services. We really also focused on integrating with third-party digital care solutions that are starting to emerge and that try to help us increase our velocity to provide care. And most importantly, we thought about this also from an engineering perspective, that as a healthcare system is not only delivering care, part of delivering care today need to be into this digital journey and making sure that we have a continuous integration, continuous deployment of the way we deliver those services and deploy them into the cloud as part of a continuum. We think about the care quality we provide to all our patients.
Thank you, Dr. Samai. That was very insightful. As we all know, especially during this COVID pandemic, the healthcare business has to transform rapidly. to address patient care and the whole experience. So I'm very fascinated about the business that Dr. Somai is driving, and very happy to be part of the journey together with him. Next up is Brent Maher, our Chief Technology Officer at Johnson Financial Group.
Hi, I'm Brent Maher, CTO at Johnson Financial Group. Johnson Financial Group is a Wisconsin based, privately held financial services company. We provide banking, wealth, and insurance services for both individuals and small and medium businesses. So, a bit about our challenges and some opportunities. As I covered, we do have banking, wealth, and insurance. And really, for a number of years, we allowed those business units to operate in silos, including their own brand. So, we had Johnson Bank, Johnson Wealth, and Johnson Insurance. Kind of updated strategy is that we want to deliver a cohesive, total financial view to our customers, and part of that is to synergize the businesses and consolidate the experience. So, part of the challenge is branding is one thing, but bringing those siloed technology stacks into a cohesive experience is a challenge we're working through right now. Part of that is the customer experience. So we're really looking to deliver on a unified digital experience overlay to give you that total financial picture. And if you want to dive deeper into, say, a brokerage or a insurance use case, will allow you to use single sign-on to go deeper into that digital experience. And the last challenge and opportunity that we're executing on is creating a single view of the customer. So again, to go back to having banking, wealth, and insurance, we sometimes had challenges understanding that just how deep a relationship a customer would have with JFG. So building in the infrastructure, we call it the data hub, to really synergize data between the three business units and create the architecture that allows us to truly have a single view and a deeper view of the client. And again, our North Star is really to take that for our own benefit, but also provide that single view to the client.
So now let's move on to the next part of our conversation, and that is about identity modernization and accelerated transformation. So let's hear from our panelists about their modernization roadmap. This is in pursuit of accelerating their digital transformation. And to me, the key word here is acceleration. So first, we'll start with Ben and ATN International. Ben?
Thank you, Arun. So our identity modernization journey, it really started when I joined ATN about a year and a half ago. It came into an IT environment that was fairly traditional and was just had just begun a ServiceNow implementation, which was a significant strategic investment on behalf of the business. And worth noting that I'm part of a shared service organization. And I'm responsible for shared service IT that serves all of our operating companies. So what I was really focused on was, how can we quickly modernize the way we manage employee identity as we go through these transitions to Office 365 cloud. So things that we were dealing with were obviously password sprawl. We used ADFS, Active Directory Federation Services, for sign on in some places, but not all places. We had an instance of secure auth tied to our VPN. So we had a very kind of scattered environment with no coherent strategy or approach. And many of our cloud applications didn't have any single sign on at all. So, as part of our modernization, we selected Okta and really took advantage of some of the core capabilities within the Okta platform, being cloud-based single sign-on, primarily using SAML 2.0, their unified directory that can integrate with our on-premise Active Directory, their multi-factor authentication, and then their Okta Verify app, which is a great way to give employees kind of a really good user experience around accepting a second factor. So, looking at the zero trust maturity chart um, on the slide, I would say when we started, we were very much in stage zero, very fragmented identity. And by virtue of implementing Okta with Beyond ID's help, we kind of really quickly jumped somewhere between stage one and stage two, where in a very short amount of time we were able to deploy single sign-on across all of our distributed global employee base, our contractors, and our partners with modern, sophisticated multi-factor authentication, and that gave us a very consistent approach going forward. So what we're focused on now, I'm certainly focused on a number of areas, but to further accelerate our transformation, we're looking at kind of bringing in two interesting technologies into our environment. And again, a lot centers around ServiceNow and the automation that we've built with catalog requests. In ServiceNow, we have kind of an area that we call talent management, which is how we onboard, offboard, and change employee roles. So some HR-like functionality that's fully integrated with Okta groups. So we can make these changes. They can be appropriately logged to satisfy the requirements of our internal audit team for Sarbanes-Oxley, and we're really in the process of extending that capability, and there are amazing things we can do between Okta and then the orchestration and automation capability within ServiceNow. And then similarly, we have kind of some interesting use cases where we're deploying more and more robotic process automation software bots in our environment. As a telco, we have a lot of legacy telco billing applications that are fantastic opportunities for automation using software bots. So we've deployed, you know, probably well over a dozen different bots at this point, and we continue to deploy more constantly. And our bots log into applications through Okta, which I just think is really kind of a fun, interesting use case. And I think that we're now looking at using a combination of ServiceNow, UiPath, and Okta to further tighten up our environment from a compliance standpoint. By using bots to do things that otherwise had to be done manually by individuals. So a lot of great opportunities there. And then last but not least, we do have an upcoming pending acquisition of Alaska Communications, um, and that gives us some really new, interesting capabilities with Okta, because part of our, I guess, our thesis was that we can acquire companies and integrate those companies with minimal disruption and minimal risk. So on day one, we don't necessarily have to connect networks, which has tremendous security benefits, and it allows us to kind of extend our existing cloud environment to a newly acquired company very quickly just by deploying Okta agents in their environments.
Next up is Dr. Somai, and he's going to share with us the Inception Health modernization journey and what he's doing about accelerated transformation. Dr. Somai?
In our case, I mean, the way, as we discussed, I mean, as I presented earlier, where we really needed to move into this digital realm and really enabling our customers and patients and the community to really access our services in a seamless way. So the traditional way we built our technology was this really monolithic, kind of fragmented approach to build technology. We needed a technology to allow our patients to access their healthcare records. So we integrated the portal. Then we built the technology to access their refill medication, and we built a pharmacy system. And what I ended up doing, we created this really multi-fragmented ecosystem around allowing customers accessing those touch points. In before COVID and really before the digital transformation, this did not really matter because most of our interactions with our patients were happening in the real world, were physical. You're coming to them, our office, you come to the clinics, you come to our hospital in the healthcare system, and you get delivered our quality services. But as we move in really into this digital transformation, we are now looking at how we can build and moving from an end to one, really end solutions to only one single customer to moving to a more of a one to end, which means as a user and as a customer to our services, by just being provisioned into the digital health space, you will be able to access all the other services around. So that transformation was critical. On one end, we knew that the requirement from an experience perspective of users is critical. We needed to be up to the standards and actually what customers expect from any digital service, no matter being healthcare or other industry. So the standard is becoming higher. On another perspective, we needed also to enable users and customers and our patients to access the service timely without really disruption. So having a single identity that was core to that ecosystem and being able to restructure and really build a new infrastructure that takes the benefit of the what we built before, but enabling this digital transformation was critical. So one of the key decisions was really using Okta and Identity Cloud to build this unique single identity kind of architecture and enable really the integration of other services. So today, with this integration, we are able to deliver care seamlessly across different services. We integrated our mobile application with our portal, so you can use the same identity and we have the same level of security across all the services. So in terms of compliance, in terms of security, in terms of privacy, those were really key components. And the identity as part of our digital transformation is really one of the kind of first class citizen of that architecture. Without really solving the identity, we don't think we can solve any digital transformation. So that was really key for us to achieve it timely, efficiently, and really in making sure that we have the right security and privacy around that architecture. So that was really fundamental. So, in terms of identity transformation, what we were able to do is really able to create the single identity across all channels. No matter where you are, where coming from, a web experience, a mobile experience, or a physical coming to a care facility, you will be able to be identified and access the service seamlessly. We create also a unified experience for all our patients. We also were able to create of this universal access to all the services. I mean, that was also very important for us. As an example, in our current design of digital transformation, if a patient wants to test for COVID testing and at the same time want to have a virtual visit with one of our providers, they can do it right within a single transaction rather than trying to hop from one channel to the other. That was very important. And that's one of the key success of this transformation. Really, also, as I mentioned, better security and identity best practices. Having a cloud identity provider solution enabled us to have a single access and a single access management and a single identity policy. And that really improved our posture in terms of security of identity of our patients, which is really critical. In terms of identity transformation, we really build this identity proofing mechanism. We are working with BeyondID and other partners really to improve the way we identify users and help them start their journey in the digital space right away without requiring to have a physical presence, and identifying that and enabling that as a healthcare system is actually critical and important. We also enabled this adaptive stepped up to FA, which helps us really as a healthcare system and to allow patients to navigate and have an escalation of kind of requirements for their access based on the type of access or services they're trying to access to. And more importantly, having this digital identity as a cloud platform and enabling it to include it in our observability and telemetry of our platform was fundamental. Having threat analysis in real time, being able to access and analyze our log structure, being able to have access of the entire pipeline of a data transaction, starting from an identity going to other services in the cloud is really important. And having the ability to do that with a very small team, being very agile in the approach, was also key. So those are what really key aspects that helped us and is helping us as we speak today to is really building that digital transformation for our healthcare system.
Let's next hear from Brent Marr on Johnson Financial Group and his IM modernization journey and how he's approaching the accelerated transformation.
We have multiple business units: banking, wealth, and insurance. And within those business units, we have sort of upwards of 15 different digital experiences based on the product or service we're delivering to the customer. So if you're an all-in client, previously your experience could have been, you know, 6, 7, 8 passwords, user IDs, and passwords that you had to manage. So clearly, consolidating identities is a component of our identity modernization. Um, we don't feel like identity management technology is something that we felt comfortable wanting to put on our team to host on a 24/7 capacity. So that introduces a great opportunity for Okta as a product. Consuming that service as a cloud, we felt like a particular um, cyber defense mechanism, having a multi-tenant environment where they're looking at advanced threat management, is also part of the value proposition of taking and using a cloud identity based platform. And we're really looking for accelerated onboarding of applications. So putting in a standards based structure so that as we bring on more digital experiences, as we expand our products and services offering, patterning that out and accelerating onboarding time and snapping that into our identity environment is all components to our identity modernization. So this is a bit of a vision slide, but really speaking to what I had mentioned earlier is seamless experience. So again, we want to deliver a total financial picture to our clients. We want our clients' financial attention, and so we want to not only display our banking, wealth, and insurance. We also want to be able to have those individuals aggregate their other financial relationships into one unified experience. So that speaks to seamless experience. We're looking for quality customer digital experience, and then finally self-service. Our business historically has been built on brick and mortar and servicing people in person as well as through a contact center. So building out a digital self-service capability is clearly a scalable model. The introduction of a global pandemic certainly got everybody's attention and accelerated that a bit. But candidly speaking, we were focused on digital self-service before that, really out of scalability and the cost to deliver brick and mortar and the preferences for individuals pre-pandemic. I think I'd close with single customer view. So again, as I had mentioned, banking, wealth, and insurance might have all had a different and a captive view of you as an individual. And if we want to deliver broad financial services to paint the complete picture, we need to look at you, the customer, as a single entity and where your relationships exist with us.
No story is complete without successes and lessons they're learning as you go along. I would love for the panelists here to share their successes and the lessons they've learned throughout this journey, and also take time to share their insight and advice on working with the right partners next. So we'll start with Ben first. Ben?
So for us at ATN, some of the successes and lessons learned, I guess I'll start with one story. So in one of our operating companies, we have a legacy billing system that our call center agents were needed to use to support customers at certain times, and that legacy system would take about 30 seconds to log in on non-peak times, and it could take up to 3 minutes to log into during peak times. And they would, if they were doing something else, they would get logged out. So they would have to go through that logging in and out process multiple times during the day. We deployed Salesforce.com Service Cloud um, last year to kind of be the customer 360 front end, and they now log into Salesforce Service Cloud through Okta, and we we were pleasantly surprised. We didn't anticipate how much of a benefit it would be for our call center to just be able to go into Okta using their domain credentials, log in once, and then be able to get into Salesforce like literally instantaneously. That was such a dramatic departure from their previous experience. So, those are some of the unanticipated successes. For me personally, so this is my second time being an Okta customer. I implemented Okta got about a decade ago, um, when it was a much smaller business and it was much earlier. But I'm very committed. I believe in this technology. It is truly transformative, and I think it is a foundational building block for where we all want to take our businesses. So one of the other advantages, which I kind of touched on in that example, is just the concept of having an end user portal for employees to make it very easy for them to get to all of their applications quickly. That makes it very easy for IT to deploy applications to different groups, to secure access to those applications, and to drive adoption. I touched on some of the security capabilities with threat insight, with adaptive multi-factor authentication, and the cool geographic and velocity rules that we've been able to implement. Um, Touched on desktop single sign-on, and we're in the process of deploying server multi-factor authentication as well for our roughly 1,000 servers. So that's pretty exciting for us. I'd say the two major lessons learned. One was around cybersecurity. So when we put Okta in front of some of our cloud applications like Office 365, we discovered that there were way more brute force attacks happening than we thought. So that gave us a lot of visibility and insight, and gave our security team the ability to really focus on mitigating and managing those brute force attacks. So that's been really an interesting learning, and we're really glad that Okta gives us some interesting capabilities to address that. And then, as a public company, we are always very focused on Sarbanes-Oxley compliance, and that was one of the lessons that we learned as well. Is definitely build your compliance requirements into the process from day one. Don't save that to the end of the implementation, because it's really relatively easy to support anything that you would need to support for the auditors, but just don't leave it to the end. But yeah, it's we've had tremendous success in terms of value of partnerships. I mean, I think this is easy to speak to. So, when we started on our access and identity management journey, we didn't have really any internal expertise. This was new to our team, so it was an absolutely necessary for us to partner with someone that had that experience and could help us both stand up the solution, but also kind of stand up our own resources. So that's why we partnered with Beyond ID, who has obviously a ton of expertise with Okta and with identity, and that allowed us to deploy the solution very quickly and very successfully. And it also allowed us to, and what we've done with Beyond ID is we've signed up um, with an MSP arrangement, so they're providing ongoing oversight and management of our Okta instance, and that's great for our team and for me, because as you can see in the image on the right hand side, they can go in and open tickets We can all go in and see what tickets are open, and we know that we have a very committed partner on the other side, monitoring our environment and helping us when we need help. And then, as we go further down the zero trust journey and we look at additional capabilities like customer identity and access management and advanced server access and other opportunities, we know that we have a trusted partner in Arun and Beyond ID that we can engage with when we're ready to take these next steps.
Thank you, Ben, for your trust. Next, we will like Dr. Samai to share his lessons and learned and success this year. Dr. Samai.
For us, we are still learning, and hopefully, we are still on the journey for success. But we are still on the journey now to move really our entire customer identity to a cloud native platform. This is a very powerful and very extremely important component of our digital transformation strategy. We truly believe that that's going to be key to enable us to provide a better care experience for our patients and our community. We've been able to deploy and use new strategies of how we build our pipeline and architecture. One of the key components, we were able to work with Aaron and the team to develop and deploy a fully serverless identity connector and integration pipeline with our EHR system. That was a very interesting journey, being having an engineering focus idea about how to build the connectivity between our Okta and the EHR system. That was a really interesting journey and work. We've been able to do real-time migration of the mobile app experience, and this is really also a key. We worked closely with Beyond ID and other partners to enable us to transition the experience without interrupting user journey. So that was also important for us. Like one of the key aspects on lessons learned is moving to a single identity solution and transitioning seamlessly users across to a new platform is not an easy task, and the complexity of the details and the processes is extremely outstanding there. We also been able to integrate a new portal and integrate it with the identity platform, and that's very valuable. And the time to value and the time of engagement was fabulous, and the kind of the expertise of the team has been very helpful. We built truly a truly universal login experience in mobile and web, and that means that from a single access control from a single identity solution, a user can navigate now through either more mobile or web to our services using the same universal experience. Understanding the challenges of a digital transformation in healthcare is more critical and equally important. I think we always underestimate kind of how difficult is it to do a digital transformation. Cloud capabilities and support was also key. One of the key strategies as we move to a cloud native integration of our identity, we focused on building a cloud native integration too, which meant that we really relied on building as much as possible in a cloud native architecture. And that means running from the way we design the product, the way we integrate the product, the way it's deployed and tested and automated was also very important. And that entire pieces, not only the component about the mobile app, but also the component about the integration, the components about the compliance, the automation, and all those components were very important for us to design as a part of an architecture. So having a partner that understands not only the identity lifecycle, but also able to look at the breadth of the architecture was key. Confidence is also fundamental. I think this is important that we have the confidence and the trust as a team that we can innovate and maintain best security practice. I think that's also very important in healthcare industry. If you innovation and security and compliance are synonymous in our industry, and that's very important. Focus on the patient experience as a continuum of digital identity was also a key aspect to the way we designed it. We iterated endless time about finding the right experience for customers and patients, which meant that there were so many edge cases that required us to reflect and redesign kind of a lot of components as we progressed. So that agility and really taking an agile methodology to deploy a large scale solution was key, and really building this as a building block of Okta architecture, our cloud architecture, and also our on-prem was very important. It wasn't easy, I would say, but bringing different teams with different culture and different organization into kind of collaborating in an agile approach was important, and the collaboration was key, and the partnership was very important in that journey.
Thank you, Dr. Samai. This has been fast and fun. So there's a lot more ahead and looking forward to it. So next up is Brent and sharing his lessons and successes and lesson learned here.
The way I would summarize our lessons learned, I'd really focus on two things. You know, Okta was a great fit for us, so that's been stable throughout the process. Really, what I'm focused on is from a lessons learned is our application vendors. I think their readiness to join our identity consolidation um, and identity modernization journey, they may not have been as excited about it as we were. And I think that comes in two parts. I think part of it is tech debt. They hadn't necessarily built the infrastructure to snap into a standards based single sign on capability. And I also think there's an element of control as vendors give up identity, they lose a bit of the control of the consumer. And so, we've had to, work through that challenge, and that has taken a bit of time. So I think that's a good lesson learned for um, people thinking about doing customer identity and access management. And then the other part I'd focus on is really our internal business. So, um, you know, we have a contact center marketing that has an opinion on digital. When you get into the customer identity space, um, the level of coordination needed to get your business on board to support this and sign off on the digital experience is a bit more complicated than a employee use case that we've sort of done in the past. And then the other part is maybe unique to JFG, but we have banking, wealth, and insurance, and we have leadership in each of those areas that are interested in growing that particular business. And so when you ask time from their teams to help with what's good for the enterprise and not necessarily driving their particular business unit forward, um, it takes some internal selling, and ultimately we're all interested in the customer experience and got them on board, but that's something you have to factor in is the various business units and where does this fit into their priority, and make sure that you're taking the time to sell the concept to the business units that are going to have to be part of your success journey internally as well as externally. So, spending a little bit of time on just the value of partnerships, we have not previously had a single identity for our customers. And so we did not have a team of individuals that were experts at maybe a legacy on prem identity system where they just had to shift to a new platform and rewire what had been. It was a ground up project. It is a ground up project for us. So, bringing in Beyond ID has been a significant strength for us. They have augmented where we, quite frankly, did not have the skill set. We bring them in and they engage with our vendors as if they are JFG employees, and they're with us working through the strategy and vision discussions, working with our vendors to help retrofit their technology into a single sign-on structure, as well as sort of the deep detail of building it out. So I would consider Beyond ID part of a absolutely a strategic partnership and critical to our not only our identity modernization but our digital transformation.
Thank you. That was amazing. And I learned a lot. I hope you all did too. Thank you so very much, Brent, Dr. Samai, and Ben, for spending your valuable time and energy to share your stories with the audience today.